What if the very things that make you valuable at work are the same things keeping you from getting promoted? In this episode, I sit down with leadership strategist and author Nicole Johnston to discuss why so many women become trapped doing non promotable work inside organizations. Nicole shares powerful insights for more than 30 years in corporate leadership and explains why promotions are based on leadership potential, not simply task completion. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Welcome to Career Growth for Working Women. This show is for women who are done waiting to be noticed and ready to be compensated for the value they already bring. I'm Shannon, a promotion and compensation coach, and I help women position themselves for real advancement, not by working harder, but by showing their value more strategically using what I call the 5% method. If you're ready for clarity, confidence, and career growth that actually pays off, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to the show. My guest today is Nicole Johnston, and I think this conversation is going to resonate with a lot of women listening. Nicole spent more than 30 years in a global sales and marketing leadership role with companies like Procter and Gamble, Hershey, and Kimberly-Clark. Throughout her career, she saw a pattern that many women know all too well. The women who keep things moving, the women who smooth conflict, take on extra responsibility, mentor others, and quietly carry work that isn't reflected anywhere on their job description. And yet, despite being incredibly valuable, many of those same women find themselves wondering why the next promotion never seems to come. Today, Nicole works with women navigating leadership growth, visibility, and advancement. Her work focuses on helping women understand the difference between being seen as indispensable and being seen as promotable. She is also the author of Taboo Topics, Things Women Should Talk About But Don't, which explores many of the conversations women are rarely encouraged to have about work, money, power, and career growth. Nicole, welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much, Shannon. I'm happy to be here.
Okay, so you've spent decades inside large organizations, but when did you first start noticing that strong performance wasn't always translated into advancement for women?
So, for the first 9 years of my career, I worked remotely. And so it was a very different work experience. And it was harder to understand where you were at compared to your peers and everything else, just because you weren't around them all the time.
Right.
And then when I went into the office for my first role, the first shocking thing was realizing I had to like take a shower and do my hair every day. That was harsh. And then
Yes.
after I got over that barrier, I started seeing that there were some people around me who were just flat out phenomenal at their job, but had been in their role for like 10 years and weren't going anywhere else. And they were viewed as like a pro in place and maybe not by their choice. And so then I started paying attention to how there would be the work that needed to get done, whether it was planning the meetings or ordering the lunches or knowing who was allergic to what. I mean, all necessary work, don't get me wrong. But I started seeing how the people who did that work weren't the ones talked about for leadership, weren't the ones talked about for the challenging projects, weren't the ones talked about for getting promoted. And I started building the parallel in my mind of the, again, necessary but non-promotable work. And I paid attention to how a disproportionate amount of that work fell on women.
Mhm. Yes, that's true. And that's something I like to talk about on this show is that we feel like sometimes as women that us being needed for those tasks, whether they're big or important, makes us so valuable. But what it really does is it holds us back. It doesn't allow us to grow in our careers, as you were saying. It doesn't show leadership that we're competent enough to take on bigger roles when in reality we really are. We just value, I feel like we value something that's not really valuable. Like you said,
Yes.
knowing allergies is huge. You don't want to have someone have an
We
allergic
don't want to kill
reaction.
people. That's no,
Right.
not good.
But staying in that position for 10 years, it does nothing for your career.
Right. And so here's a couple of data points to help bring this point home. In a full-time job, you work roughly 2,000 hours in a year. On top of that, at work, women do 200 more hours of mental load work. So 10% more is just the management of stuff to make work and life flow. And then if you're a mom, when you go home, it's another 520 hours. So 720 hours on top of your full-time job is just to make life and work flow.
Wow. That's amazing.
It's terrifying. And that's part of the problem is that so many women don't recognize the amount of work they're doing because it's just part of my job. Oh, it's just being a mom. And they don't give credit to the amount of energy, effort, focus, ability it takes to make all of those tasks happen.
Yes, absolutely. And that's emotional labor in a way. I mean, like that is,
Cognitive and mental,
yeah,
emotional, all of it. Yes.
yeah, yes. I mean, that takes up a lot. So, um, what would you say to those women though that they feel like, well, that's my job. My job is to make sure I'm holding the team together. How can I hold the team together and still get that promotion that I'm seeking?
So let me start with a question. Can you show me in your job description where it says that you have to hold the team together?
Ooh, that's that's something we put on ourselves, right?
100%. That is an assumed behavior and assumed consequence that many women take on. That is nowhere in their job description. And if you look at men who have the exact same role, the exact same job description, they're not assuming they have to hold the team together. So why should you? So
Right.
I would start with recognizing some of the behaviors that come from this. How many times have you seen the women do all the work, do all the slides, build all the strategy, but then a man presents?
Yes.
How many times have you heard someone say, "Oh my gosh, you're just so much better at making slides than I am. Can you help, please?" And you want to be a team player, so you help. But all that does is reinforce to that person, usually a man, that you're going to do the work for him. So the next time somebody asks you that, you say, "You know what? You're right. I am much better at doing these slides than you. But if you don't try, you'll never learn. I'm happy to review it after you take your first cut."
I love that. I love that reframe
Yes,
because it allows them to grow or and recognize, hey, I am really great at this. Let me allow you the same chance to learn how to do it. You're teaching them
exactly.
like teaching the man to fish, you know? If you
Exactly, exactly. Or another common one that happens is, "Oh, can you just look at this and analyze it for me?" Sure, let me stay an extra 2 hours. Or you say, "You know what? I'm at capacity right now. I can look at this for you in 3 weeks."
Yeah.
And you will be amazed how much less often you're going to be asked to look at stuff when you tell them when you are available versus shifting everything in your timeline to make their lives easier.
Setting those boundaries, healthy
Yep.
boundaries for you to
Yep.
protect your emotional load because you still have to leave and go home and be a friend, possibly spouse, mom, whatever it may be. You know, you still have
Exactly.
to it's not fair that everybody else gets your leftovers when
Yep.
they're people when you're dispensable at work,
Yeah,
pretty much.
exactly. And so the takeaway from that is the only person who can set boundaries for you is
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
So you have to get comfortable in it. And this is where in my book I talk about that everybody has their tribe and everybody's tribe looks differently, but these are your ride or die friends and
Mhm.
work with them and say, "All right, this dude at work yet again has asked me to blah, 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 blah. I need to be able to respond to him about why this won't work." And so you practice with your tribe saying, "You know what? You are right. I am great at slides, but you need to learn." And
Right.
you do that and practice it with your tribe so that the next time when the dude comes up, you don't fumble. You
Right.
don't come across as, "Oh, fine, I'll just do it." You have confidence in your ability to say it with boundaries and kindness and confidence that makes the person go, "Oh, oh, okay."
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure at first, the first time it's going to be difficult because
Awkward,
then they're going
awkward.
to look at you and be like, wait, what do you mean I do my own slides? You've been doing them for 5 years now.
Hmm.
And there's going to be some pushback. So that's
Yeah.
where you get to keep practicing with your tribe, allow them to have that pushback conversations with you so that you've kind of practiced
Yep.
anything that may come up because they're going to think about it and they're going to be able to help. I love that. And then when it does happen, you're prepared. You're more prepared.
Right, because they're going to be like, oh, but I have a date tonight. You're like, oh my gosh, so do I. Where are you guys going?
Maybe we'll run into each other.
Yeah, but you don't play into it. And so your tribe helps you with those random potential throwbacks that are going to come at you. And so that way, when it does come up, you're like, oh, I know how to answer this. And you can have that discussion with confidence. And it steps you away from that non-promotable work.
I love that. I love that. And I think that that confidence is something that plays in as well because I feel like sometimes women have don't feel like they're as confident in standing up for themselves in doing that. And so I love that idea of practicing because I think that some people say, "Oh, well, I'm not promoted because I might not have enough confidence in myself." When the reality is they have confidence in themselves. They're just not showing it and practicing with that tribe. I love that idea of
Well,
that.
and the other thing I would share is that there is a huge misperception about promotions. A lot of people perceive that promotions are based on the ability to complete tasks, and that is patently false. And here's why. If you are someone who is putting your head down and getting tasks done and not telling anybody about your work, not talking about your thinking, your leadership thoughts, your problem solving, they're just going to look at you and be like, huh, she's solid. We're just going to leave her there because she's solid.
Right.
Promotions are based on the perception of your leadership potential.
Hmm.
And if you're not demonstrating leadership anywhere, why on earth would someone think about promoting you?
Yes, absolutely. You got to vocalize to what you're doing
Gotta tell
instead of,
people what you're
oh,
doing.
I was just glad to help. This is one thing I love to tell my clients. I'm just glad to help. No, that's not what we say. I
Never.
helped do X, Y, and Z on this project. Like,
Yeah.
be specific and take the credit when you've done something amazing
I
and
want
track it.
every single person to have an add a girl folder. And in that add a girl folder, you take whether it's a Slack message, a Teams message, a text message, an email, a project recap, a whatever, you put it in that folder. And this does a couple of things. One, when it comes time to write your annual review, which everybody loathes with the fires of hell, you can go back and be like, oh, yeah, I did all that stuff. Oh, yeah, this will be easy. It makes that so much easier. The second thing is that you can also put your own recaps in there because the last written word wins always. And there's unfortunately times at work where it's he said, she said, who did it, what did it, and you can go back and say, well, here's my notes on the date of the meeting that happened. And so I tell all of my clients, always take notes, never be the note taker.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
notes are for you. You put them in your Atta Girl folder. And then
Yes.
that way, when you're talking about your impact, what you did, the outcome, the effect on the business, you already have that from the meetings, from the recaps, from the projects. And this is work that a lot of people are like, oh my God, I don't want to. That is leadership behavior. When you
Yes.
are able to synthesize the output and outcome of your work clearly, you are demonstrating leadership communication. You're demonstrating your ability to see things through to the end and define impact.
Yes. I love that add a girl folder. And to me, I think if you also have, hey, the compliments that you've done or all that on a day where you're kind of feeling a little low on yourself or like, oh, this has just been a hard day, you can open
Yeah,
that add a girl folder and be like, okay, yep, all right, that's me, I got this. Let's
look at
go.
that. I'm pretty
Like a
good.
little pick me up.
Yeah. And I had there was a woman who worked for me who I had told her to start one and she had. And there was a guy who said, thank you so much for all your work on this project. It was great how you did XYZ, blah, blah, blah. Whole little thank you thing that he put in Teams chat. She captured it, put it in her Atta Girl folder. When it came time for reviews, he was taking credit for her work. And he's like, no, I did it. And so she came to me very disturbed because she's like, he's taking credit for my work. I said, how can we prove that? She's like, well, I have this. I'm like, perfect. And so
Great.
I took it and I went to him and I said, you sent her this. If it was your work, why did you send this? And you could tell he was like, oh. And so I said, you have two choices here. Choice one is you give her the credit very publicly that she deserves, or I will do it with your boss. It's your choice.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to do it. So I went to his boss, and his boss went back to him and bushwhacked him. He's like, this is completely unacceptable. You do not take credit for other people's work. You do, and da 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 da.
Yeah.
But because she had her Atta Girl folder, she was protected.
Right. I love that. I love that. And it's doesn't take that much to screenshot something like that either.
No,
Like
nothing.
screenshot it and put it in the folder. Screenshot and put it in the folder. But it's again, like you said, it's showing leadership potential because think about things that happened a year, like 9.5 months ago, 10 months ago. You're not going to remember all the things that you did on a project because there's been like 15 other projects. But if you
Exactly.
have that folder, when it comes out, you're like, oh, I did that there. I did that there. I did this there. Wow, I'm really good at XYZ. And I'm going to bring this up in my review.
So the next step on that is if you have people reporting to you that you make add a girl or add a boy folders for them as well. So like
Mhm.
when I would go back and write their overall statements and that kind of thing in the annual review, I could bring up, and when this vice president or this person, this director said blah 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 about da da da, and they were always just like, "Oh my gosh, how did you remember all that?" I'm like, "I didn't remember all that. I've got a folder on you." So
Right.
I would build that for them throughout the year as well. So it made it easy for me as their leader to write up their overall review and statements as well. So
Right.
it works not only for you, but for people who report to you as well.
That's awesome. And it shows you care.
Yes,
And that helps your team, as well, your camaraderie with each other when you can do that and support them in that way.
yes, 100%.
Absolutely.
Because there's just, since COVID, we have basically been living in a fear response as a society. What's the next pandemic? What's the next war? And
Right.
with that, that means people are pretty much operating under a fear response of fight, flight, or freeze. And that is not how humans are designed to operate. So basically, a lot of the population right now are just walking exposed nerves. And when you are operating in that way, it is very hard to see past the fear and the pain. And that's happening broadly right now in organizations. So there's a lack of kindness, a lack of connection, and a
Mhm.
lack of humanity right now in a lot of large organizations. And so anybody who can break that and step out and demonstrate the kindness and humanity, you're going to be like the shining beacon on the hill that everyone's like, oh my God, I want to be around them.
Yes. Yes. And we all want to be that shining light for
Oh,
everybody.
yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
Oh, this has been such a great conversation. How can my listeners follow up with you or learn more about your work and your book?
Well, so first of all, my book, Taboo Topics. Oop, I got to get it in the camera so you can see it there. It's things women should talk about but don't, and it's available in paperback, hardback, ebook, and audio. So you can get it in any form. So wherever you get your books, it is there. And then to find me, you can get me at my website, which is innate, INNATE dash power.com. So innate dash power.com. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on all the places. So just come and find me. I would love to chat with anyone who would like to talk more about their career and how to get ahead.
Awesome. Well, as we wrap up today, I always love to leave my listeners with an action step or a mindset shift that they can make this week. So, what would you challenge everybody to do?
Go create your Atta Girl folder. Go get
Yes.
or Atta Boy, whatever, but go create that folder and start populating it. And whatever project or big meeting or whatever this week, get some notes, recap it, and put it in that folder. Start building it. And it's going to take, this is a muscle you're going to have to build. It's going to be uncomfortable for a little bit, but start building it because, oh my gosh, trust me, when it comes time to do your review, so much easier.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, thank you so much, Nicole, for being here with us today.
I appreciate it, Shannon. Thank you so much.
If today's episode sparked something for you, a question, an idea, or a realization, don't ignore it. I offer promotion strategy calls where we walk through your current role, your goals, and how to position you for your next promotion or raise without burning out or overworking. You can book that call using the link in the description. And if this episode helped you, sharing it or leaving a quick review makes a bigger difference than you know. Until next time, keep sharing your value clearly. You've earned it.